Yo. It's Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Good afternoon. It is Saturday. What day is today? January 8th. And it is what episode is it? I don't even know. Phil, can you do me a favor? You gotta turn off your turn the echo cancellation back on because we can hear feedback on ourselves. Because we're feeding through your laptop. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Grapsody. I'm Will Washington, and Phil is also here.
I'm here. For some reason, we're having technical difficulties, but I'm here.
Yes, technical difficulties on a Saturday morning, and then there goes Reg.
Yeah.
Wait. What? Did, I have to ask. Is it cowboy shit?
You know what? I want to say howdy, partners. I wanted to, I've been talking a lot of shit about this guy for a really long time, and he did it on Wednesday. He had an incredible match with the greatest pro wrestler of our generation, Bryan Danielson. And I want to give it up to Cowboy Adam Page. He's a great champion. Every time he has a match, it's amazing because they're all with Bryan Danielson. Shout out to y'all. What's up? Good morning. It's Righteous Reg, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster. We're in the fucking game.
We are in the game. Welcome everybody to Grapsody here on Fightful. It is quite a Saturday.
This almost kind of looks like an Undertaker hat though, more than a cowboy.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
It's funny because your shot like autocorrects right, like right now, and then it like darkened the hell out of you, right? And so it just looks like Undertaker's shadow.
It's dark and hell is hot. This damn cowboy hat. Probably gonna have to do away with it so I could be seen on this fucking thing unless I'm like this the whole time. Look, it goes away. So cowboy shit. Shout out to y'all. It's fucking Grapsody. Saturday. Best podcast in the fucking world. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it because there's a lot, man. And I know there seems to be like a theme every week, right? That it is just like, wow, like partway through the week, it's like, all right, we'll have like kind of a regular show. And then some shit goes down. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll have some stuff to talk about. And then by Friday, it's like, all right, we got some stuff to talk about this week.
Right.
And now this morning, I'm like, where do we even start? I know where we start. Because there's a lot going down. The first thing I want to do is get all the normal stuff out of the way here.
Okay, Cowboy Hat is over, you guys. Thank you. It was a great time. We're having fun. But, I want to be seen on this show, so. Hello. It's me. It's Righteous Reg, double R, 2 R's.
2 R's. I don't know. First off, how's you guys' week?
Man, I feel like January is kind of my favorite month for wrestling because you got so much stuff going on at the same time. You got Wrestle Kingdom, you got Royal Rumble. It's just a good month for wrestling. It's insanely busy, but just a good month for wrestling.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. I tweeted this, but I was supposed to go to Wrestle Kingdom this year.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my friend, my best friend Carolina, we were planning a Japan trip, and go figure, she decided to go to Toronto instead, so she's in Toronto this weekend.
She was like, "I'm going to see Drake. I ain't got time for."
She's like, "I'm gonna go
Kingdom. I'm trying to 6 guy."
Well, she was like, "She's like, I'm gonna do something, even if we don't get to travel to Japan. I'm doing something. So peace." And so she's in Canada right now, so she's getting to have a fun trip. I still didn't. I'm still looking at it like, man, this is supposed to be the first trip to Japan for me. First ever.
Right.
Technically, first trip off the continent for me, it was supposed to be.
Damn.
And I didn't get to do it. So still looking forward to a Japan trip coming up here in the next whenever. whenever possible, because it turns out I think 2021's biggest legacy for me is going to end up being that brief moment where we thought everything was going back to normal.
Right. There was like a month where we were just like, you know what? Maybe things aren't so bad. We got vaccines. We got this. We got this. I went to Jamaica. Like, I was like, it's lit. Like, I'm out of here. But then things went right back to hell.
I know. Right? And I was thinking about all of that, right? Because I went on trips. I went on vacations last year. I had fun last year. We partied last year. And like, hindsight, I'm glad I got all of that out, because a lot of that's not seeming like a great idea at the moment. A lot of people, for example, are kind of putting 2 and 2 together, looking at the fact that there's no that Cody's off the Battle of the Belts tomorrow, and I saw a lot of people. I was one of them too, because I had the same thought of, man, that wedding of Matt Cardona's shirt don't seem like
super spreader wrestler.
Well, because think about that though, right? That like when that first picture came out, the initial thought was commending it, right? It was like, look at all these locker rooms come together. There's the AEW locker room, there's the WWE locker room, the Impact locker room, GCW. Everybody's represented at this one wedding. And now that like a couple of people who were at that wedding have come out with COVID, now in hindsight, it's like, oh crap, they got to spread that to every locker room.
And look, it's already happening. It got everybody. Every locker room, every wrestling locker room has been affected by COVID in like the last 2 weeks. So they're shutting down shows. It's getting rough out there again. You guys be careful. Get your booster shots, get your vaccines. Stay away from everybody, because it's everywhere. And so pro wrestling has been affected by it. We just saw it. Roman Reigns was out of his big title match.
I know, it was like right after we finished
Saturday.
the show, right?
Yeah. So
like that was the most dated part of the show almost immediately. Was us talking about Roman and Brock, and then Roman and Brock ends up not happening. But and Jay Shell sent us the super chat. She said the inspiration is out of Hard to Kill, and they were at the wedding. Like,
oh shit, are they? Damn, I didn't know that. Damn.
Yeah. So so
be careful, man. Wear a mask, man.
Wear a mask. Yeah. Okay. I did have the question for you guys. I was going to pose that this morning. I had the thought. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be perfectly honest with people. The reason we started late was because I got up, I took a shower, and then you ever get in like shower thoughts, and you look up and you're like, oh shit, I thought I was supposed to be in here 10 minutes. It's been an hour. So, in the last 2 years, either of you guys catch COVID?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't either. I'm surprisingly, everybody I know.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. I will say, knock on wood. But like, and I say that as like it's not without like expectation of such. I'm not saying that like, oh yeah, I deserve to get COVID. But what I am saying is that I went to a lot of places last year.
Right.
I went to 5 or 6 wrestling shows last year. Like almost 7. Now that I think about it, it was in my house. But at the same time, I also work from home, so I'm not like exposed to people all the time. I also wear a mask everywhere I go. I don't know, but I feel like at some point, I probably, thinking about all the times I've been around it, I probably should have caught it. I haven't.
Right.
So it just surprises me, because
shout out to you for not catching COVID. That shit's whack. I hate when people are like, oh, just get it, and then no, fuck that. I don't want to never have that shit. That shit's nasty.
Wait, people are saying just get it? Wait,
People are like, yo, just get it. You'll get the anti. No, fuck all that. I got the vaccine. I'm staying away from that shit. I don't want it. I don't know what the long term effects are. I'm good.
And that's the thing, is it's been around. I like I said, I feel like everywhere I look, somebody I know has got it. My son's teacher's out because she's got it right now, and I feel like more than ever it's out there. But like, my parents haven't got it either, but my parents are also like, they don't want to leave the house at all. They are so in the house right now. They are so like, even if I just say, "Hey, you guys come over for dinner. We're fixing dinner," they'll be like, "Nah, the
We're
Rona's
good.
out there. Don't
Yeah.
want to get that Omarion."
Yeah, it's
It's not.
smart.
I'm just
It's
kidding. My parents
smart.
don't know who Omarion is.
I mean, they're older, I'm assuming. So, like, yo,
Yes.
just got to be careful, bro. Like, I went to go see my grandmother on Christmas, and I'm like, yo, I don't even want to be in here for too long. I wore a mask for the couple of seconds that I was in there with her. So, like, it's just like, yo, take care of your old people too, man. They are really affected by this. Take care of your young people now. Fucking schools and shit. And I'm sure Will's dealing with that right now. He has 2 kids, so.
Hold up. School is a disaster right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so the schools are such a problem at the moment. I can't even like fathom how this can continue. Because first off, so last year there was a whole lot. There was like the hybrid learning. There was the remote learning and in person. This year's all in person. Year before, halfway through the year they went to remote learning. And so it was funny. Phil's picture froze there for a second, but it was while he was blinking, so it looked like he was just kind of like meditating for a sec, because his eyes were closed. But
be.
no, so this year, of course, last year I will say remote learning. I don't know about y'all. Anybody with kids, let me know. But as far as I was concerned, as far as our school was concerned, remote learning was a disaster. Like none of these kids got anything out of that. You could hear the teacher yelling at the kids, like, "Hey, get out of bed! I can see you. You're in bed right now. Like, sit up. What are you doing?" And like, I just feel like trying to corral kids into from this environment that they knew pretty much all their lives of, like, go to school, listen to your teacher, be in class, whatever, to like, oh, I'm at home, the place where I don't have to do any of that, and I'm going to continue to not do any of that. I feel like it was really hard to get kids to transition. And then on top of that, so now this year they were like, all right, bring all the kids back. We're good. We got vaccines. All teachers got vaccines. Now kids are getting vaccinated. We're good. And then it turns out, no, they're not. But they're like, but we can't really afford to go back to remote learning because test scores were like a disaster last year. And we didn't really have a plan. And the plan that we thought we had, like, didn't really work. Like, I don't know what schools are going to end up being, because we got an email that was like, we may just have to send kids home just because we don't got the staff to support having kids at school. But also, it hasn't gone well as far as remote learning is concerned. What do we do? And I ain't got the answers for that because I ain't an educator. I'm a parent who's just like, look,
I got the fucking answers. Don't put your kids in a class with 40 other fucking kids, you dumb sons of bitches. Look, let all the teachers go home. There's no way to get around fucking having COVID full of a classroom, a school full of thousands of people, bro. Like, you can't, there's no way. You're all in one classroom, coughing, breathing on each other. A lot of kids' parents aren't vaccinated because I don't give a fuck about that. A lot of kids aren't vaccinated. So it's just a big, bold mix of
they're
nasty.
not washing their hands either.
No, they're, oh my God, kids.
No, are you kidding me?
Kids, I can't even remember one time I washed my hand in the 2nd grade or the 3rd grade. Like, what? Come on, bro. Like, ain't nobody washing hands. We're dirty. I'm putting my fingers in other kids' mouths. Like, yo, it's crazy out here. Come on, man. There's no way to get around that but to send their ass home. I'd rather them be dumb than dead. That's pretty much it. There you go.
Okay.
You want a dead kid or you want a dumb kid? I'll take a dumb kid over a dead kid. It's pretty easy.
So I want to let everybody know, Grapsody is the show we do live every Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We're right here, youtube.com/Fightful. And then we're also on pretty much every Fightful stream. I got to get you guys' account set up to also stream Grapsody. It only goes to my account, and then the Grapsody account as well. But I think we can have multiple other sources here. So at some point, we'll get that going. I think we just got to log you guys into the StreamYard, which at that point, that's all a Sean Ross Sapp thing. Especially because
shout out to Sean Ross Sapp. He's out there working hard.
Yes. Well, especially because one of the benefits that I have of being logged into the account here is that I can see you guys even when we're not on camera. So when the Grapsody theme is playing and we're all just kind of like grooving to it, I love that, and I feel like you guys need to be able to.
We
join
all
in.
Need to experience that. You're right.
Yes, we all need to experience that. But also, you can be a part of this show. And the way you can be a part of this show is by letting your voice be heard through super chats or through our preferred method, Humper Chats, humperchats.com. That is our Streamlabs solution. And through Humper Chats, you can YouTube is just always got their hand in the cookie jar a little bit more than anybody else. So super chats, of course, we can bring them up on screen, but Humper Chats help support the show a little bit better. Either way you want to do is entirely up to you, because we're leaving that to you. We want to leave.
We got to get this year. We got to do something about YouTube, man, because they are out here taking coins, bro. They are taking coins. We gotta go somewhere else.
And the hard part is, so the hard part is YouTube like filled a void that everybody needed, right? Mm-hmm. That like, I always think about the story of how YouTube came to be, right? Where like, dude just wanted to see the Janet Jackson titty and was like, how is there no place online where you could see that? It was like the day after it happened because there were no video streaming sites, and that's how YouTube came to be. Which is funny. That's the story.
That's the story for real?
I mean, shit, I was trying to see Janet Jackson's titties too. Where do I see them at?
It was literally right after the Super Bowl. The creator, I forget his name, but he said like literally he was like searching online of like, where can I see this? And then he's like, how are there no sites where you could just like watch videos? And then that led to the creation of YouTube. But
Janet Jackson invented YouTube. I'm gonna
Janet Jackson invented YouTube. Janet That's Jackson pretty easy. That's make it headline. Janet Jackson's titty.
Yeah. Now the hard thing though is that I've seen people talk about the irony of that. Is that today if you posted that on YouTube, you'd be copyright struck. So it's just funny that the one thing that led to the creation of YouTube would not be allowed on YouTube today at all, and your account would get strikes for it.
It sounds like WWE. They started out as a wrestling company, but now if you wrestle, you're out. You get a copyright strike for too much good wrestling.
But YouTube did like fill a void that people needed. That like I remember back in the days of like, where can I watch videos? I any place I could get videos at the lowest quality back in 2004, I would have taken anything.
I don't want to sound like an old head, but you guys got it really good these days because we used to go through some struggles to find a video. A wrestling match, you can't. Let me find one move and let it download for 5 hours, and then I'm going to watch that one move 5,000 times. That's how this works. So now they could just like find anything in the world. Anything in the world on YouTube, man. I'll be watching old like music performances from like 1995, blah, blah. I'm like, and this is all just out here readily available to us. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, so for people who don't know this about me, I am kind of a technology pack rat, or I guess a hoarder, as some may call it, in that I don't ever delete anything. Every time I get new hard drives, new computers, whatever, I select all, drag, and then and I recognize that I've probably been doing this since like 2003. So I've got like old files from forever ago, to the point of where yesterday I was going through a folder looking for some sounds because I was working on some music, and I was like, oh, I know I got these sounds somewhere, and I was like, it's probably
what you working on, and
I was like, that. Shut up, Reg.
He said,
nothing. But anyway, I was working on some music yesterday, and I was like, there's some sounds I need, and I'm like, you know what? I think in a folder from like 2005, I got those sounds. And so I went into that folder and I found a torrent of Survivor Series 05, because back then, if I wanted to watch pay-per-view, I found a file. The file I had downloaded. Like I downloaded Survivor Series 05. I still had it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is in its original form. And I double click. And of course, it was split into parts. Like nobody just put out the full part. It's Survivor Series Part 2. And of course, it like starts out immediately. As soon as I double click it, it's the Booker T Chris Benoit match, and then immediately after is the Vince
McMahon.
And then the Vince McMahon segment with Cena backstage is like immediately after that. The segment where Vince dropped the N-word. So I literally just watched that yesterday.
God, and I can't shoot Will too much bell because I downloaded a torrent like last year for a wrestling show. A big wrestling company. I'm not going to say their name because they're going to be mad that I torrented their show. But I had to see the show, you guys. Come on. Like, what do you want from me? Just send me the shows for free. I'll review every single one of them on Grapsody one by one. This show will be nothing but me reviewing your wrestling show. Just
I will say
but
that,
seriously, send it to us. Like,
for like hindsight footage, there's also just like not a great way to find that stuff now.
Right.
Unless you're WWE, they're pretty much the only place that has the ability right now to go back and find, like, you know, if I just want to watch Raw. I mean, Impact does too.
Right.
Impact Plus, and I have both actually.
New Japan World does. You can go back and super far.
Okay.
Or just come through. I have like
I'm really
6
just
terabytes worth of pro wrestling. So yeah, you can watch it at my house too. I'm gonna start my own streaming service and get sent all the way to copyright hell.
I'm really just knocking AEW. They need to have a way for me.
That's pretty much what this is. Yo, bro, we're trying to watch Dynamite randomly, and you can't without.
Yeah, they did for a while. Like, all the way up until last June, there was BR Live had every Dynamite on it. And then last June, when BR Live shut down, they transferred all the pay-per-views over. But I assume because they're in the works of having some kind of streaming deal starting, they did not transfer all the Dynamites over. And so I can't just go back and watch any old Dynamites at all.
Right.
And I would like
That's
to.
crazy.
So,
in this day and age, you should be able to access anything ever. When ROH had their streaming service out and they didn't have their entire catalog, it's like, bro, what is this? I don't want this. I want to see ROH from 2002, 2003, 2000, whenever. Like, not just the current stuff. Come on, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, before we get to the topics, let us check out some super chats. We'll start with Wrestle Voice, who says, super chat for you guys putting out bangers like Ruckus on 30 minutes notice. Bars. Shout out to my girl Jade for doing what she was meant to. We have got let's see who else we got. We got John. John says, hey guys, Hangman Danielson 2 was amazing. NXT is a graveyard and everyone loves Hook. Also really happy for Jade being the first TBS champ. We try to tell you guys. I swear we never deviated. There's not any point
we'll
where
put out the tweet like before they even announced the title saying Jade's about to win, you guys.
I still saw people trying to run with narratives, even though we've been telling you from day one. But
day one.
It
happened. Look at that.
We never deviated from it at all. We were never like, maybe it could be Thunder Rosa. No, we were straight up like, look, man, this is Jade.
They made this
even
for
if people
her.
were like, well, we want it to be a workhorse belt. You can want it to be whatever you want. It's going to be Jade Cargill's belt.
Let's talk about that. Isn't the other belt the workhorse belt? Why are you having 2 workhorse belts, you dumb idiots? Why they're the same? The champions have to be exactly the same. I need both of them to be. No. There's 2 different belts for 2 different champions. They're going to do 2 different things. If it's just a workhorse belt, then what the fuck is the other belt that Rio and all these people are going crazy for? If both belts are that, then what's the point, you dumb idiots?
Well, here's my thing though. Like, stop trying to take like something that worked for another company and going, hey, they have a workhorse belt.
Exactly.
So do that here. No, just let them establish what that belt is first.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to it in a second because it's one of the topics we're going to talk about. But Hannah says, I was sick February 2020, sickest I've ever been in my life. Had to have been COVID. Happened the day after my grandma's funeral, but no tests then. I suppose, I was sick like early 2020. There's a chance it could have been that, but at the same time, like, I wasn't like deathly sick, and also, I don't know. I've been sick the last couple of months, but I got tested and it was like just a cold.
Y'all got that cold ass weather. I could it's snowing outside. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, it finally snowed here in Denver, by the way, in the last week, twice. So and I think it's supposed to snow today. Finally, like normally the same shit I look forward to, but we somehow went all of October without snow, all of November without snow, and then December was still like 70 something. It didn't snow till the very end of December, which is completely abnormal for Colorado.
Global warming. Thank you, global warming. We appreciate you.
Says just recovered from Omarion playing tag with me and my friends' lives. You guys are super dope and keep up the great work. Hannah says, however, after All Out, I tested negative 4 times, but I've now had no sense of smell for 4 months, so maybe I've had it twice.
Oh, shit. See, like that, the smell and taste thing sounds wild.
That
to me.
scares the hell out of me.
I'm trying to smell and taste, bro. What y'all talking about? That's crazy. Get well soon, Anna. Shit.
Yeah, Bazo also says, me and COVID always gonna have beef for taking away my senior trip, cruise to Bermuda, high school prom, and graduation in 2020. Yeah, a lot of people lost a lot of stuff that year.
COVID was playing dirty with the homie.
Yep. Hannah said, not to mention the parents sending their kids to school knowing they're sick. December 21st, somebody sent their fourth grader while waiting for test results. Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Definitely.
Don't be that kind of parent. Please
don't. Please don't.
Keep your kid at home. You too. If you're sick, keep your ass at home.
Yeah. And let's see. Dark Saturday says, it doesn't help that WWE's attitude to the pandemic is basically just bring it at this point. Thanks for the show. Y'all are the best.
They're like, we'll face off with COVID at WrestleMania. No, COVID's going to beat all your asses, bro. You can't win. Brock Lesnar will get his ass beat by COVID. Come on, man. Please.
Reg soft voice. What you working on?
He still ain't told me, y'all.
Hey, I told you. You know. What you working on, Reg?
I'm not working on nothing. Yo, shout out to the next super chat that we're going through. Yes.
Let's see. Monique says, good morning, Kings. Just showing my appreciation.
What's up, Monique? Good morning.
We appreciate you, Monique. Smiley, always love Smiley, sending y'all love. Also, Reg soft voice is my new meme. Thank you, LOL.
Hey, shout out to Tracy. I'll say her shoot name on TV. Shout out to Tracy. That's my homie.
Yeah,
I love her.
See, I've been saying her shoot name so much that I'm like, you know what? I got to get out of that habit. So
nope, that's her name. I love you, Tracy. You're my friend. I'll see you soon, I'm sure. If COVID doesn't fuck everything up.
I'm like, all right, I got to get in the habit of saying Smiley because everybody knows her Smiley. Tracy. Life of Deep says, was at Dynamite this past week. Double masked up, of course. Hangman Danielson was amazing. And shout out to Jade. Her winning was an awesome moment. Shout out to you, Life of Deep. And Perry says, who's going to be Jade's first defense? And where's William Regal going? We were going to talk about both of those topics. And is that it? Is that it for no, because we also got some Humper chats. And in the Humper chats, we also got Tony P said, I know Reg is going to rant, but also interested in Will as a belt head. Go on a rant when they change that NXT title. Y'all know it's coming. Got to get the new crop used to ugly belt designs on the main roster, along
Big
with
facts.
the bad booking.
They'll probably have a new belt on Tuesday. Shit, they don't fuck around.
Yeah, I saw Belt Fan Dan was talking about, and he's pretty good with the belt insider information. He seems to be aware that they are getting some new belts. He said they were planning on it for like Mania season. So we're in Mania season, so I guess that's where we're getting them. And then also Wrestle Voice said, went back and watched Kay Lee versus Willie Mack in PCW, and it is eye-opening how much WWE dilutes wrestling styles. Not bashing them, but when will they understand to let these guys just be talented?
No.
Please don't tamper with Mello in the future.
They're going
Jay Shell says, hi guys, good morning / afternoon. Just wanted to say I'm a Diva stan, so I'm so excited for the Rumble. And Reg, I got a new pair of fuzzy Crocs.
You nasty J Shell. Throw those Crocs away. I'm happy for everybody. Yeah. Last night was a celebration, to say the least. So shout out to y'all, and not shout out to those Crocs. Burn those things.
Yeah, Diva stands rejoice with Summer Rae coming back, and you can celebrate your favorite Total Divas moment of her slapping Natty, because I saw that gif on my timeline 1,000 times.
So good. My favorite to win is going to be Kelly, of course, because Kelly is.
I will say that there is something to Diva standom, and
it's crazy
having missed out on that, in that I was well into adulthood when all that happened, and so like I don't know, I was never truly into like Divadom.
I legit haven't seen a lot of Total Divas, just because at that time it was like Total Divas. Like,
yeah,
I'm not watching no reality show. I don't care who's on it, but now I might watch it. I might check it out though, because I'll be watching reality shows, because things have changed. I've been in the house for a long time these last 2 years. Jeez Louise.
I will say that I had somebody at a show I went to one time sit down next to me, and she it's like, hey, when's Natalie wrestling? And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about?
Who's Natalie?
Yeah, I'm like, who is Natalie, right? And then I'm like, because she was like, yeah, I got these tickets for free, but she was like, she's like, I follow a little bit, and she's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for Natalie, and I'm like, do you mean Natalia? And I'm like, no, that can't be who she means. And she's like, she's got red hair, and I'm like, oh, Eva Marie.
Eva Marie.
But of course, I didn't know Total Divas. I had no idea who she was talking about, right?
Yeah.
But she said Natalie, and then Naomi wrestled later in the show. She goes, oh, it's Trinity, and I'm like, okay, that's right.
For that, I think
like,
that's the one lasting legacy that Total Divas is going to have, is it actually brought a lot of female fans who just watched this show and wanted to support. So, like, shout out to Total Divas for that. Bring it back.
Show you shoot names, right?
Y'all got a network. Y'all got Peacock. Yo, bring that show back. Yo, film these people. Probably not right now. The shit's going down. But, you know, when it's time.
No, yeah, how's that going to work out when you got to film all of the stuff with Brie and her husband is at the other company?
They're going to blur his face. Bree's husband, random guy.
He just comes across the bottom and just says Bree's husband, don't even have a name.
I need to see that.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I said, I missed out on all that. But what I was going to say is when I went to WrestleCon in 2020, or 2019, there was no WrestleCon in 2020, but in 2019 when I went, I will say Summer Rae had Eva Marie did. Eva Marie and Summer Rae had like the longest lines at WrestleCon, and I was shocked at how much people really wanted to meet those two. And I'm like, I just walked up and like met Trish Stratus, and granted, I've met Trish Stratus like 100 times. Are you kidding me? I have like 100 autographs from Trish Stratus, but
just readily available. I love it.
Yeah, this one's actually got my name on it, but I met Trish Stratus
too.
I was really about to ask, what is he reaching for? Because I was like, where's this going?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm Trish
Stratus CD right here. You need a Trish Stratus autograph right here. Like,
I'm pretty sure there's a Trish Stratus pop vinyl like really close by that she signed as well. But either way, like per line,
is Trish they didn't announce Trish for the Rumble, did they?
No.
She's got to be in there. She's got to be.
I don't know, because she said like, because that Charlotte match was supposed to be like her like send off, like retirement. Like the others like never really had that moment, but she like put over Charlotte and was like, I'm done. And
but
like
she's still kind of been like lobbying for a Sasha Banks match online. I don't know if she's just like talking, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
it'd be a surprise. I don't know. Are we going to get into that? How they could have? This should have been all surprises.
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's story
they hate
number 4.
surprises. I remember when I think it was in 2005. Someone got hurt. I think it was Undertaker maybe, and they had Kurt Angle go over to SmackDown to win the title.
06, yeah. No, it was Batista got hurt.
Yeah, Batista got hurt, and then they had Kurt Angle, but they filmed the show and then they announced it right on. They were like, watch SmackDown on Friday because Kurt Angle. I'm like, yo, why are you ruining the spoiler for me?
That created a huge
show, big bro.
I will say that did a ratings bump though. That it was like they had all the ratings bumps.
They don't. That's what WWE does. They don't care about diehards. They care about random motherfuckers. What about me, who dedicates every single week to you stupid motherfuckers? You never give me anything. You don't give me anything.
I mean, they do
not care about long-term fans. They're like, fuck these long-term fans. I need this one little fucking ratings bump that's not gonna matter. When Brock Lesnar's gone, all your little stupid ratings are gonna go too, bro. Cater to the people who watch this fucking stupid ass show every Monday and every Friday.
So there's an in between. The way I would have done that is I would have had Kurt Angle, because I remember the graphic. I'm visualizing it. I can see it. It was Kurt Angle holding the world title, and it said Kurt Angle wins title. Tune in this Friday on SmackDown. And I was like, okay, I maybe wouldn't have done that. Maybe what I would have done was said Batista relinquishes title. New champion. Yeah, new champion crowned. Tune in Friday to see who it is, because people would have tuned in just to see who the new champion was.
Right.
But okay, couple more Humper chats. In that, let's see. D'Lo said, in here like Elmo when it comes to that Rocco. Wrestle Boy says, not going to say much about it, but the Big E lost.
How's Rocco gonna eat the cookie?
The Big E loss did not sit well with me. People are coming back with let it play out, but his booking was questionable through his reign. Jay Shell says the inspiration. She told us about the inspiration already. I read that one earlier on. Daniel says, hi, all. Hope you all are having a good week. 2 things. 1, the releases sucked this week, and B, why did they not put Thatcher with Imperium? He was with them on the indies, and they were great. And Tony P says, as a teacher, I can tell you teaching online was hell, and a lot of teachers were thrown under the bus. Also, we got a lot of teachers quitting from the stress of online teaching last year and returning back this year. Yeah, I recognize that. Online learning, as a parent, I'll tell you, was a disaster. And the second they were like, your kids can come back, I was like, get out of my house. Mm-hmm. And no, I love my kids, but I definitely did want them. I wanted them back in school, but now I don't know how to feel. I will say I'm taking them for their second shots today. So happy for that.
And how old are they?
My daughter is 10 and my son is 7. So yeah, they're getting...
It is a wild, wild world out here, man.
They are getting their second COVID shots today. Pfizer gang over here. All right. So R.I.P. Black and Gold, baby.
R.I.P.
Because... you know what's funny was
so hard to say goodbye to yesterday to NXT. Shout out to NXT, man. Damn. And I'll take man. I've been crying all week.
Look, NXT. And the funny thing is, this would have been applicable without the releases, because we just would have talked about New Year's, what was it called? New Year's Evil. Yeah, we would have just talked about New Year's Evil and how they symbolically defeated all things NXT 1.0. It's hard for me to refer to that as 1.0.
Yeah, I don't think it's 1.0.
To me, NXT 1.0 was, what was that theme song? We are wild and young,
right? But really, I would say at NXT is when Vince said ECW is over next week. We're starting NXT.
Yeah, that NXT is what I'm talking about. NXT 1.0. Yeah. I forgot Vince McMahon was like,
and they've had like 4 different. This is like NXT 5.0 by now. Yeah. For keeping it real.
But I guess old Black and Gold NXT is no more. But the show was kind of a symbolic end for that version of NXT. But I thought it was really just going to be symbolically. You know, Shawn Michaels did that interview with Scott Fishman last month. It's literally a month ago. And he was talking about, you know, it's still the same people. It's still all Hunter's people in charge here. You know, we're just going in a different direction, but it's all the same people. And now it seems like it's just Shawn. And I mean, it's not true. You know, Jason Alberts is still there, or what the hell is his real actual name?
Matt Bloom.
Yeah, Matt Bloom. Yeah. He's still there. And of course, Sarah Del Rey is still there. Although I thought those were names we were going to see when the releases hit, because a lot of people were released. We saw the first one was Road Dogg. And look, man, that dude blocked me on Twitter.
My phone has not stopped going off since I tweeted about Road Dogg. Everybody's like, "You're right."
Yeah, he blocked.
I am blocked by Road Dogg. He blocked me.
I wonder why.
He blocked me 5 years ago.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Your title as Road Dogg is revoked, sir. You cannot call yourself Road Dogg anymore. At least take one of those G's off, dog. You can't do that. You know, your hip hop privileges are revoked, sir. Your name is Brian. Your name is not Road Dogg.
And if it is Road Dogg, it's Road Dogg with 1 G. Fuck off.
I was watching that night that K Quick debuted on Raw, and I have to say, in hindsight, like, I used to think that was cool when I was a kid, but man, that whole rap is corny as hell.
Awful.
And
have you guys ever listened to the entirety of Getting Rowdy?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think that it is a stretch to say that K Quick is the best thing about that song, because when it gets towards the bridge and Brian starts doing like his like country singing in the middle, it's trash, bro. It's trash.
A lot of people didn't know that was there because they don't remember the time they performed it on Heat on MTV and did the whole song. And I remember him doing that on stage.
Get rowdy.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's
Our
bad.
Truth, man. Shout out to Our Truth. He has been
Our
there.
Truth was always better than him.
Yeah.
I will say, by the way, speaking of R Truth, I'm gonna admit something I haven't admitted on this show. But do you remember when Ron Killings did those raps set to What You Know About That on YouTube, WWE?
Yes.
I think about those raps daily, and I probably have them memorized. The TNA on Spike TV, and this right here for WWE, and we've been waiting for y'all.
Oh my God. I think on my last podcast I did a deep dive on that. Yeah, I laughed so hard, man. It's so good.
I remember when those hit, and those were like my favorite ironically funny things. And because he ended up jumping ship, they became even funnier.
Because he was like, psych, I'm coming to hang out with y'all. I don't really want to beef with y'all. I want to work there for another 20 years when I go back.
Yeah. They became even funnier, but man, those Ron Killings raps, A+. If you have ever heard
real quick,
those.
I just remembered, this is super off topic, but Chris Ely is having a really big thing going on today. I want to shout out the homie Chris Ely. He's a big supporter of Grapsody, and he's having a really super important thing going on today. Shout out to him. Do it, my man. Chris Ely, shout out to him. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It just went into my brain. I was like, I do not want to forget about this. Shout out to Chris Ely, though.
Yeah. But yeah, Road Dogg gone.
Road Dogg, suck it. Leave it forever. Never come back. Please don't go and join your friend in AEW. I'm going to be, oh, God, if you go and join your friend in AEW, I'm going to cry.
Wait, by the way. He was like, man, they released me January 5th. Great timing.
My day is free tomorrow. I wish they would release me January 5th last year. Then I would have had a really free day the next day. Suck it. Oh, my God. The worst. Dun, dun, dun. I can't believe you stole our culture and got over, bro.
That man could
over
not
with braids, man.
Wait to get online January 6th to
he's like, I can let him fly. My employer's not gonna say nothing this time. Shoot him, even though their employer was probably out there.
I've been blocked by Road Dogg a long time though, so I haven't seen any of this. It's all been screenshots. But anyway, and you guys know me on Twitter. Like, I don't troll people much.
Not really. Yeah, not too much. Not too much.
Like like I said, I go after ideas. I think at the time, Road Dogg was I think it was like booking stuff, right? And he was just I think there was a whole conversation being had about how it was like at the time when Roman was getting booed, and he's just like, oh, wrestling fans don't know what they want. And I'm like, but they're literally telling you, they're like chanting for Daniel Bryan. Like, it's not like there's not a thing that they aren't telling you they want in opposition to that. And he's just like, fuck you, you're blocked.
Right. Oh, wait,
fuck you, you're black.
Did he say fuck you, you're blocked, or fuck you, you're black?
Sounded like fuck you, you're black. That's
but
fuck
anyway,
you're blocked.
So we what else? So also Ryan Katz was hit though. And when I saw Ryan Katz was gone, I thought, okay, I know what's happening here. And then you start to see more names trickle in. Samoa Joe is gone. The one that people were most shocked by was that they cut William Regal. And that was one where literally everybody had something to say. Everybody, because if you came through WWE in the last 10 years even, Regal was somebody you encountered in the process of getting to WWE and was likely responsible for you getting to WWE. So a lot of guys were suddenly like, yo, that was the guy who advocated for me. You know, Paige was like, you know, William Regal helped get me here, and Becky Lynch, and even younger talent now like Cora Jade. A lot of people are talking about Regal was the guy for me.
I went to so many PWG shows in a little American Legion Hall in Reseda that only fit, the most famous PWG arena only fit like 400 people, and Regal was at like 20 to 25 of those shows scouting talent. He would always be there, be like, oh yeah, today's a PWG show, there's William Regal reaching his head out of the curtain, because he was always scouting talent. The reason that NXT Takeover, the reason that we have PWG style main events on WWE TV is because of William Regal. He made it all happen. He got all the talent that was hot on the indies. He knows about pro wrestling, and he brought them to the main stage, and then they screwed him over when they got to the super main stage. But he got him there. He's a big reason why NXT Black and Gold was as hot as it was. Super huge reason. When you say Dusty Rhodes, you gotta also include William Regal for what he did. For sure.
Yeah, and I think I'd say that was the biggest tell. Like Ryan Katz was like the tell because of the fact that he was with the company for so long. He was in WWE. He was on NXT creative for a really, really long time. And so to me, that was like, okay, they want nothing to do with old NXT. You kind of had a hint of the fact that they wanted nothing to do with old NXT when they announced War Games without Regal. And it was like, okay, so Regal's like not even the GM of this brand anymore.
It started to get less and less subtle. And I mean, I feel like this week, Braun coming out and kicking that X, it was like, all right, guys, we get it. It's over. Party's over. Everybody out of the pool. I get it. Which, boy, did I laugh at people that loved him breaking that X. And some of those people were the same people that hated Cody busting up that throne. I was like, it's the same energy. It's the exact same energy.
It's okay. His dad did it to him. Like, what? Come on, dude. What are you talking about? This is crazy.
And also, like I said, Regal to me was the tell that, like, we knew for a while that this was going to be the case, but like, we're done with indie talent. Like, once they let go of Regal, and the fact that they didn't even find another role for him, like, that's the part that got me. Was like, it's not like this guy hasn't been consistently with the company since 1999. Like, he was. Of course, people say 98 because he was there in 98 as real man's man with Steven Regal, but then he was released after that, or left after that, and then came and signed back, and then came back as William Regal, the Goodwill Ambassador. He was then the commissioner of the WWF, then defected and became the commissioner of the Alliance, and then kissed Vince McMahon's ass. That man kissed Vince McMahon's ass on television.
We fighting, bro. You releasing me? I'm staying here forever. I kissed your nasty ass on national television. Millions and billions of people I saw it. Bro, you can never fire me.
He was just a consistent heel here and there. He actually turned babyface. He was born naughty with Eugene. And then he was the Raw general manager and King of the Ring. Like, people forget how many authority figure roles he had. I know people who only knew him as NXT GM, and I thought, that man was Raw GM and WWF commissioner and WCW commissioner on screen in WWE, and like, he had been around so long that you would have thought, for as long as he was with the company, that he would have at least gotten to leave on his own terms. And I know, like, he's not going to say anything negative. He straight up said, like, look, this company was good to me for 22 years, or 23 years. You're not going to catch me saying anything bad. He doesn't have to. But I, as a viewer, can at least say that, man, I thought that Regal was at least going to get to leave on his own terms for as long as he was there and as much as he did for the company.
Right. But when I knew it was over for everybody when they fired Howard Finkel. Sorry, it's really hard to say that guy's name.
Oh, yeah.
Howard Finkel was there for the inception. He was there for every WWF thing that ever happened. When they fired him, I just knew, like, no one is safe here except for Kevin Dunn for some reason. I don't know. He'll stay forever. So
yeah. I mean, when you looked at, like, I remember when Mark Eaton, the Timekeeper, was released. Yeah, and I just thought, that was another one. That man's literal job was like sitting at ringside, ringing the bell, and literally keeping time in a company that doesn't really keep time.
Titan time, baby.
And it's like, there was no way that his check could have possibly been taken up that much. And he was also the king of tossing beers to Stone Cold. That was his other thing that he was known for. And it's like, this man could have sat here and rang that bell for you for the rest of his life. And
is that job different? Is his job different than the job that Billy Kidman does? Because Billy Kidman, like, times the show. That's different than what Mark Eaton did, right? Who was just, like, ringing the bells, pretty much.
I'm not sure. Could be. But either way.
Yeah. Man, when you just think about what Regal did, though, like, there's so many people there that went on to be like fixtures there. Like, I mean, Sasha Banks, I mean,
Yep.
Johnny Gargano.
Yep.
Just so many names you can mention in NXT, and not just his on-screen character, just everything he did for that brand. Like, it just isn't NXT anymore without him, in my opinion.
Pretty much
And
everybody that went over to AEW besides Chris Jericho is like because of Regal. So
yeah,
like,
I
have
mean,
fun, you guys.
and I mean, even like, there's so many people on the main roster that are there because of Regal. And that's why I've been kind of chuckling to myself if people are going like, "Oh, well, you know, things just change, guys." And it's like, yeah, but him leaving doesn't have just consequences on NXT. It's ramifications across the entire company, because it changes the way the entire company views wrestling. It changes the way they view incoming talent. It's just it's I would be hard pressed to feel like this isn't going to change anything. And I feel like people that think it's not, this is a little short sighted. Like, just to be like, all right,
it may take a while, but you'll see
yeah,
it.
yeah, it's gonna change things long term. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those guys that is like, oh well, NXT didn't need to change. I do get changing it. I do understand that it wasn't what it was anymore. It was time to do something different. And there are some people that believe once AEW came that it couldn't be a
That was
super
it.
indie anymore.
Right.
And that's fine. But to make such a drastic change and also get rid of some of the people behind the scenes that were doing stuff like scouting, that I don't necessarily understand.
Right. And I don't also hate when people say AEW came in, but you couldn't do that. Yes, you can, because the main roster is garbage. So there's an alternative to your regular product, which worked out fine. But now they just made there is no alternative. Now NXT is just light raw. So.
I will say this, that I feel like NXT for a long time got by on being an alternative to the main roster.
Right.
And I feel like fans would be like, "Oh, I don't really like Raw or SmackDown, but I enjoy NXT." But
exactly,
they're under the same umbrella. It's like they created like a faux alternative to their own programming. So when a real alternative came around, people were like, "Oh, what's this over here?" So I do see, you know, people's thought process when they say that. But at the same time, I do think there was a way to change it enough and still do some things well.
I mean, I will say Tony did essentially. He did create a larger scale NXT, and that his, you know, that is what AEW is, and that's not a bad thing.
PWG/ROH.
And especially because NXT borrowed so much from I say borrowed, but borrowed enough, borrowed a lot from Ring of Honor, borrowed a lot from PWG, and Evolve, and all of that, and AEW just kind of is all of that combined. It is PWG, it's Evolve, it's Ring of Honor, and it's NXT. Because the energy at any given Dynamite is the energy you used to get at takeovers. It's like weekly takeovers now, right? And you know, NXT talent would always say that the best thing about working NXT wasn't necessarily working Full Sail, because the Full Sail crowd could kind of get obnoxious, and it was hard to tell what was over, because, you know, the whole, and this applies everywhere, this isn't just an NXT thing, but like the idea that something could be over with one crowd and not over with another. And NXT kind of was a hard way to gauge that, because sure, it's over with this crowd, but what happens when we put it in front of another crowd? We're not touring, we don't know. And then sure enough, they end up on the main roster and find out the hard way, which is why like AEW does work out a whole lot better than NXT did, just in the fact that things are touring the country and having a better gauge of how over things are with audiences. But anyway,
and they let the people continue to be the same. The biggest issue with the main roster, I thought, is they would never NXT didn't matter as soon as the guys got to the main roster. They wouldn't talk about how Finn Balor had a great, they would just be like, this guy's great, but they wouldn't tell us why. They wouldn't tell us that he was amazing in NXT. Kevin Owens came over with the belt, but then like they got the belt out of there so fast and just changed everything about him. So as soon as the guy would get to the main roster, it's just like there's no point of having that developmental system. So it makes a lot of sense that they went to what they do now, because they could just make them into garbage right on the way up, baby.
But like
grilled cheese sandwiches all the way up.
And like I wonder what NXT 2.0 call-ups are going to look like. I can't help but wonder what that's going to be.
I feel like it's not going to be long term anymore. Like Braun Breaker's going to be on the main roster like this year. Like there's not going to be no more 2 year, 3 year long. I think so.
But also,
I think he could Rumble fucking win it because they know shit.
But
they could.
But see,
Go ahead.
I have to wonder though for Braun, he's never been outside of that ecosystem. He's never toured. He hasn't been in big enough shows where we know how over he is. And that's why every time people are like, "Oh, Braun's the guy, he's over," or like Tony D'Angelo's he's working with their crowd. He's working in your internet bubble. You don't know what people outside of that will think of him yet.
Right.
Well, and that's why I wonder if by creating NXT 2.0 as what it is, which isn't a show that caters to hardcore fans any longer. I wonder if that is like ultimately the goal of like, hey, people don't got attachments to this stuff, right? So like if we do call it Braun Breaker and turn him into Rex Steiner, and drop everything about what he did in NXT, no one's gonna harp on us for it. Right. The way they did when we call up practically anybody else and change anything about them. Like NXT 2.0 should really just be a show to see if these guys can wrestle.
Right.
It's like
I think that's what it is. Can you wrestle in front of a crowd and not fuck everything up? You're good.
Because I feel like WWE probably spent the last few years annoyed by not having the luxury of being able to do that, because they would call up people from OVW and completely rebrand them. Nobody said a word because they're like, nobody's watching OVW. Yeah, and I feel like they felt handcuffed by the fact that they're like, wait, you want us to call up people and keep them the same? Like, that's not what we do. We never did that. And and you guys get mad at us for rebranding people when they come up from this brand that we didn't think anybody was watching anyway. And like,
that's so weird, man.
I know it's weird as hell, right?
But like, weird. Like,
but that was their mentality from OVW. They called up the prototype John Cena. You never saw the prototype be on WWE television. You never saw Leviathan on television. You saw Batista as soon as they called him up. Nobody kept their gimmicks. As a matter of fact, the people who were working both got screwed, right? Because there was that time period where Paul Burchill got called up, but they called him up as a fucking pirate on television.
But then he's still hard over here in OVW. It's like, wait, what?
It's just weird though, in a sense that WWE was doing this thing for a long time where they bring somebody up for NXT and they constantly remind you what they were, but then also try and push a change. Like when Karrion Kross was just on Renee's podcast, he said the exact same thing. They brought him up, they changed his entrance, but they still had Scarlett singing the theme song. So it's like, you're reminding people every time he comes out, like, oh yeah, where's Scarlett? Yeah. And then you're like, oh, well, she's not coming. No explanation why. And it's like, okay.
I want to turn back to some super chats for a minute.
I'm at the pearly gates, Manny. I'm trying a new setup. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I got to get a ring light, I guess. Fucking
I will say,
diva out here.
Shout out to Reggie's new mic, by the way, because that sounds dope.
Yeah, no, I listened to the show last week and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So I had to get it. I want the sound to be smooth. Yes. But yeah, I got to get something with the background. I know it just keeps going in and out. It's like I'm having my come to Jesus moment.
Technical difficulties out this week, man.
Let's see. JoJo asks, afternoon, guys. What's your guys' thoughts on people saying Jade only won because of the Big Swole drama? I think she was always meant to win. They're just not paying attention because Jade was always going to win that belt. And that's, I believed from day one that the whole reason, and anybody in AEW is welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw the creative roadblock they were about to run into with Jade's undefeated streak, which was, AEW has this ranking system of getting, you win matches, you get title matches. And the problem is Jade's undefeated. How do you justify not giving her a title match?
Because they didn't want her to beat
Britt. And how do you justify her not beating Britt if she's going to continue to be undefeated? You need to give her something to keep her out of the rankings. And you need to give her something to keep her away from winning the world title, because she's not there yet, sure. And also, but at the same time, anybody in an undefeated streak is eventually going to be at the top of the rankings. Yeah. And so what do you do there? And that we saw that with Miro, but with Miro it was simple: give him the title. And with her, it's kind of the same deal of like, we almost have to create a title to put on her that keeps her out of the rankings, but allows her to continue the undefeated story, because it's a good story. It's something that that rarely has been done with women. Asuka is really it, and so it's something that could continue to make Jade look strong and make beating her prestigious.
Right.
So
you're not just going to take her streak, you're going to take her belt whenever.
Yeah, and now it's not just a streak, it's the belt as well. And yeah, I think that was the entire reason the belt was created, was that it needed to keep Jade out of the rankings. And now she's out of the rankings, and now all of a sudden now you can get back to a system that is more wins and loss based and isn't dominated by the undefeated person.
So how are they going to do this though? That poses the question, like, how are they going to do these women's matches now? Like, oh, this one is ranked for Jade. This women's match is ranked
you
for
can
Bray.
You can do Jade open challenges, right? You can
Mm.
just have anybody challenge her. It doesn't.
Right.
They don't necessarily have to be ranked, and then the ranked competitors face Britt.
Gotcha.
Is what I would do.
Yeah.
And let's see. Hannah again says, this is my first ever Rumble. Going since it's local. Going to see Lita and the Divas live may have me sobbing in the dome. I will say the Rumble is fun to attend. I attended San Antonio 2017. And that Rumble was weird as hell because Randy Orton won it in a time where like nobody was talking about Randy Orton at all. And he just he was in the Wyatt family. Nobody was asking for that.
Nobody wanted it. I remember that when nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Royal Rumble is probably my favorite WWE pay-per-view.
Definitely.
It's so much fun.
Definitely.
And it's, like I said, it's a lot of fun to attend. I would say, I don't know where your seats are, Hannah, but the seats that me and my boy Theron had when we went to the 2017 Rumble, we were facing the entrance ramp. That to me is the best sight to have, simply because one, you just get to see the Tron and see like when that countdown hits and then somebody's music hits and you're seeing exactly them coming down. There's nothing better than that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Having the view of the entrance. But Theron went in 2020. He went and I didn't get to go with him. And I would have gone with him had I known there was going to be a pandemic a couple months later. Because I'm like, I'll catch another Rumble. And then, of course, pandemic happens. But anyway, he went and he was like right by the stage. And he could see like people behind the curtain getting ready to come out. And that's when he texted me. He's like, dude, Edge. And I'm like, what? And he's like, he's like, it's either somebody who's dressed like Edge or somebody that like is built like Edge, but I'm staring at Edge right now, like right behind the curtain. And he's about to make his way out. And then sure enough,
on this day, I see clearly. And everybody went hammy. Man.
Yeah. So that was...
I've never been to a Royal Rumble. I've been to so many WWE shows, but I just haven't had the pleasure. And luckily, it'll never happen again because I'm never going to see those fucks ever again. Never getting my money.
Wow.
If it ain't for free, it ain't for me, bitch.
Let's see. Dante V says, surprise Rumble entrant Laurel Van Ness. Book it, Vince. And you know, that's our next story. But Young Boy, shout out Captain Sean Dean getting that Grapsody rub. He did. He's a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Big Sean Dean. I saw MJF out there running from those Chicago guys.
Yeah. Anytime the Chicago boys run up, he out.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, they crazy in Chicago.
Perry says Reg got PTSD from all those years of 3-hour Raw.
I mean, that's just an honest, true statement. I have WWE PTSD because I watched I used to tell people my favorite TV show is WWE. I don't even care. Like, oh, my favorite show is Stranger Things. I like WWE. I'll watch it if it's off. I'll watch it if it's this. I'll watch it if it's that. But that changed when I was like, why? This show sucks, man. Why are you doing this to yourself?
T. Daniel Barber says, happy Saturday, guys. My two hopes for wrestling this year. Japanese wrestling heats up again, and Tony Khan apologizes publicly to Big Swole. I will tell you, without saying which one, there is a great chance only one of those things happens.
Japanese wrestling has already heated up again.
Japanese wrestling is hot. This week was hot. There
Hey,
you
well,
go.
then you got your one.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom was great. And guys, if you're not watching Stardom, and if Wrestle Kingdom showed you anything, you should be watching Stardom because it's fantastic.
Boy.
Smiley says, Ayo, Reggie, relax with my shoot name.
Tracy. Her name is Tracy. Her real name is Tracy. You guys.
Love y'all. Hope to see y'all in Texas for shenanigans.
I don't know, man. This
I don't
pandemic
know.
is fucking everything up. We might be at Revolution. Is that what the show's called? Like, I don't know.
Revolution.
Things are like,
Yeah, I know we're gonna be at Revolution.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Mania
I don't know if I
yet.
want to go to Texas during a pandemic. They don't give a
But
fuck
also, we're
about
saying we're going
nothing.
to Florida. Like that's.
But
not
we're all going
a
to Florida.
long
You're right.
matter.
Damn,
Yeah.
I'm staying my ass home, man. Fuck it.
Ricardo says,
Walking around with a damn hazmat suit at the damn wrestling show.
said watching on catch up. Here's some love for you. Tune77 says they should have saved some of the announced as surprise for the Women's Royal Rumble, but Mickey makes sense. Huge social media hype for Impact day before pay-per-view. Except they didn't tag Impact. And
Haters. Watch that Impact show tonight.
Hannah said, I liked when Shane Helms kept embarrassing Road online in 2020. I always say they brought Shane back from furlough so he'd lay off of him. I mean, he was going hard on Road Dogg, and
Well deserved.
It was pretty great. We got a couple of Humper chats. Wrestle Voice says, if you guys ran an organization, would you bring in Regal for his ability to scout? You would think that this hurts WWE in the long run. The NIL program could be good, but what happens when you need to scout for wrestlers? I mean, I do think that, like, absolutely, if I were Tony Khan, that's like the first name I'd call, just because he was a great scout for you. In the same way that, like, you have kind of Sean Dean looking at some of the lesser known indie names, you know, sending Regal out for the bigger names, that's a no-brainer to me.
Right.
And there's almost no harm in having him on board. I mean, Mark Henry was doing that kind of on the low for a lot of for WWE also, but I feel like Regal is kind of the higher name. And think about that feeling, right? I've talked to indie wrestlers who have told me there's no greater feeling in the world than knowing Regal was watching your match. When you were in that ring and then you found out that Regal was backstage, he was here and he saw that, like, that drove up the motivation at those indie shows because everybody looking at Regal's here. This is my time to shine. This is my time to show what I'm made of. And, like, having just his presence there again in the indies like that. Now, granted, Chris Daniels is out there, right? He's the AEW head of talent relations, and Christopher Daniels is out there.
Chris Daniels might actually be the best because he just wrestled the guys. He's like, oh, if I want to scout this guy, let's have a match. Which is like, you know, that's like the best way to scout talent.
He's AEW's head of talent relations, and he's out there working indie talent.
Like, he probably has a match tonight.
Yeah. But Christopher Daniels is out there working the indies and getting the feel for everybody. So,
you know what, for WWE, I won't say it's all the way over for indie talent because at their last couple of tryouts they have had a bunch of indie talents, and they're still, their producers are all indie guys. Like, they just said Petey Williams signed on. Like, it's not going to be forever. It's going to still be, you still see some people getting signed to WWE. Indie guys, indie people, indie people. Sorry.
Orlando says, hey guys, good job on the show. I believe Braun did an overseas tour last year with Ciampa.
He did.
And yeah, so talking about Braun, of course, beating Tommaso. And Tommaso then got to work a dark match with what's his butt?
Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
Peter Dunne.
And yeah, they just worked SmackDown last night, worked a dark match. And we've seen that work out for people. We've seen a lot of guys work dark matches in WWE, and then one of two things happens: either they get called up or they are released, as we've seen.
Or they
I can see both those guys in
NXT, like Dakota Kai.
Yeah, I can see both those guys in the Rumble though, Tommaso and Peter Dunne.
Yes. Let's see. John says 2014 Rumble memory. I was there in Pittsburgh when Rey Mysterio got booed out of the building at number 30 since Daniel Bryan wasn't in the match.
I remember that. Wow.
Now, I feel like people act like that's like a one-off thing for Rey, but like Rey got booed pretty consistently in that run with WWE. Like WrestleMania 22, he was the Royal Rumble winner, the challenger for the title, and they booed him and cheered Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio cheered Kurt Angle. Yeah. They booed him at the 2008 Royal Rumble against Edge. They booed him at, I think, the rematch against Edge at No Way Out. Rey Mysterio got that pretty often because at the time there was this backlash against things people viewed as PG. Because like when people were booing John Cena, I think a lot of people who weren't around or watching at that time or were just younger. When PG stuff first kicked in and John Cena was seen as the face of it, John Cena was definitely the most infamous, right? He got the Cena sucks chance. But anybody viewed as a catalyst to the PG product got it too. And Rey Mysterio, because he would come out to the ring and he would do the head thing with kids and he would hand out a mask and all of that, a lot of people saw Rey Mysterio as a piece of the PG movement and saw him as, oh, he's for kids, we don't like him, and like it didn't matter what he did in the ring.
And people were kind of I don't want to say against, but they were like anything that Eddie Guerrero, they felt like they were pushing Rey Mysterio only because of Eddie Guerrero and they didn't like it. So,
and then there was a backlash against that. He didn't get great reactions. Let's see. Riley Walker says, I'd love to see these wrestlers challenge Jade for the title. Athena, Maki Ito, Mia Yim, Toni Storm, Trish Adora, Roxy, and Megan Bayne.
I'd say probably all of them have a chance. So I
would say that in the same way that Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston came in. That's
any of them women will be on TV.
Yes.
Soon.
Irene says the upcoming WWE Stan narrative of any black champion or PR or push being a PR move to counter the Swole con drama is already eye roll inducing.
There are a ton of reactionary takes out there that are just terrible takes. I saw people last night acting like, oh well, they're using Mickey for the Rumble and they're noting the Knockouts title. So this is great for Impact. Guys.
Hold up. That's the next story.
We're going to talk about it.
Odds that Swole's in the Rumble.
0%. 0.00000%. It's never happening.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not even close.
I mean.
Not because of Swole. Swole's great. It's just because they're not.
Okay. Because of how thin the roster is. 10%.
10%?
10%. That's what I'll go
Maybe
with.
1%.
Yeah. And then Brian Moore. I can't believe I said Brain. Brian Moore said a bunch of Southside legends grew up on 103rd and Western. Shout out to the captain and Reg.
That's what's up. I'm not from Chicago. Phil's from Chicago.
Yeah,
but
Phil's
shout
from
out
Chicago.
all
That's
my
why I was
Chicago.
like,
offended, man.
Chicago have some of the
Chicago and then shout out Reg and not
That's
me.
Phil. I don't know. But I do love Chicago. They have some of the best rappers in the whole world. That's a fact.
Yes. And
Shout
also
out to Mick
I like
Jenkins and Saba and No Name. They're flying.
Yes. So Mickey James and others are in the Rumble.
Big surprise, man. Big surprise. No one really. This is WWE. Sean Ross Sapp tweeted that was a lot after it was over because they were just like, WWE was like here and here and here and here and here and here and here. And everybody was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Impact Wrestling. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's just like,
I know. I hate
everything.
to be that guy, but I will say that this worked. This was a nice distraction from the fact that when you look at the main roster people in the Rumble, they got like nobody. There are, I had to count.
Bottom of the barrel.
There are 13 in this 30 woman Rumble. 13 women from the main roster in it. When it's all said and done, there'll probably be about 15. This is the thinnest. And I'm shocked because in 2018, there was a question of, do they have enough women on the main roster for a Royal Rumble? They might have to do some NXT call-ups and do, and
you
of course,
said 13. My brain didn't even register that. That's crazy.
It's like
man.
they're gonna have to do some NXT appearances, and then also probably some legends will appear. But as time goes on, the roster will grow, and they will have more women to finally fill out a Royal Rumble. And the fact that we have less now than when the first Women's Rumble happened, what? But like I said, it was a nice distraction because when they announced all those women, my first thought was, man, they just revealed how thin the SmackDown women's roster is right now. That they've got nothing for the Rumble.
Yeah,
and
someone said if they didn't announce Mickey, they would have had to have Linda McMahon in the Royal Rumble
Yeah.
at this point. I'm like, for real?
Oh no!
But then, luckily,
not Linda. Oh no!
Luckily, the distraction happened, and it's a good distraction because all of a sudden you're like, actually, Lita's here. Actually, Summer Rae is here. Actually, Michelle McCool is here. Actually, Mickie James is here. And I had to do such a double take on that I'm like, am I watching something old? Because
I didn't know what was going on. I was watching the show and they started. I was like, are they talking about like the people that have been here in the past?
That's what I thought too.
And I was like, wait, what's happening here?
I had the TV kind of muted a little bit. And I was like eating dinner, and I look up and I see Mickie James on a graphic. And my first thought was, oh yeah, are they like talking about past Rumble legends? Because there's no way Mickie James is in this match. Yeah. And so I like unmuted, and then when it came back to Charlotte, I was like, wait, I gotta rewind here. And I went back, and I'm like, no, they straight up said what I thought, which is that Mickie James is in this. And then of course, Pat McAfee drops the Impact line, and the internet jumps to the forbidden door, forgetting the fact Mickie James don't work for Impact. Mickie James is a free agent.
Mickie James works for Mickie James.
Mickie James happened to be the Impact champion, but she's not signed to Impact. Right. And there's a pretty good chance she loses the title tonight.
Yeah.
But
she should, but they're looking for the clout now, so I'm like, she might keep it. But that's Deonna's belt, big bro.
Yeah, and I mean, look, just to get this out the way, and I've tweeted several things about this since last night. This is great for Mickie. I feel like I think she proved them wrong. They said that, a women's show wouldn't be marketable. Hey, Empower did great. They would not make her main eventer again, or make her, maybe main eventer is the wrong word. They wouldn't make her a title contender again. And she's a champion. And, she's been putting on great matches since she left. So she's proved them wrong in every sense of the word. So them calling her at this point, it was just basically the cherry on top. But
now, remember those podcasts that she did? I am curious for her because she said one of her she was asked what her biggest regret was in going back to WWE in 2016, and she said that it was letting myself become a bit of a nostalgia act. And she said, I should have come in as Hardcore Country. I should have come in as what I had been working on since I was gone, and not necessarily just letting myself come back as who I was before.
The same Mickie James. That's
the same Mickie James
was wrong about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that she's felt like she was like she was only in her mid-30s at that point, and she felt like she did come in as a nostalgia act. She came in with the old music, the old entrance. Everyone's like, hey, remember Mickie James? And that never let her get to the point of being a title contender the way she saw herself. And so my question now is, how does WWE present her? When that music hits, is it Mickie James music or is it Hardcore Country?
It's Mickie James. I think back to when when Team 3D or the Dudley Boys came back and everybody was like, is he going to be Bully Ray? Is he going to do any of that Impact stuff? And they were like, nope, here's the same old Dudley Boys, same music, same everything. That's exactly how it's going to be with Mickie.
As much as I hate to say it, they've got to let Hardcore Country ring off when she comes out.
They do, though.
They do.
That's her song. That's her song.
That's her song. And that's what I'm saying is that, like, I mean, but at the same time, Jeff Jarrett kind of felt the same way of like Jeff Jarrett was when he got called to come back in for that Royal Rumble. He was like, on one end, do I come in and let them basically nostalgia act me? And I come in and I'm Double J and I do the dance, sing the song and all of that. Even though that like completely erases my last couple of years in WWE as well. Or do I come in with my world and remind people that I had a whole career outside of WWE? And the answer was, nah, you're going to come in and be a nostalgia act for these people.
Rhodey ruins everything.
And it's kind of that same deal with Mickie James of, do you come in as a nostalgia act, or do you come in as a reminder that you're a world-renowned performer? Mm-hmm. I don't know what they do here. I think it would be kind of a nice nod to have her come in with Hardcore Country and have her be the Mickie James that she has been around the world since WWE.
Right.
I don't know if that happens.
I don't think it'll happen.
I'm not holding my breath, but at the same time, I would be pleasantly surprised if it did. And
like, people are putting a lot of stock in this. That's what was funny about last night, is like, people are like, this is going to be so great for Impact. This is going to be all this. Like, Mickie James is probably going to get thrown out in 30 seconds, you guys. This is all just like a big hoopla to get you guys popping, but it's not like they know who's going to win the Royal Rumble, and it ain't Mickie James. Shout out to Mickie James, but like, it's going to be like Alexa Bliss, you guys. Come on.
I think this is great for Mickie. I think it's great for the fans as well. But there was a lot of capping last night. There was a whole lot of capping last night. This whole, oh man, they mentioned the Knockouts title, so they've done more to promote Impact than AEW ever did. Stop lying.
I can't believe I saw that.
That's an outright lie. They cut it out. And
literally, the Impact tag titles were defended on Dynamite, and the first episode of Rampage saw not only the Impact World title defended, but it changed hands in AEW.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know, because I tweeted about it last night too, and a lot of people were talking to me about this whole partnership, and they say that AEW fucked them, but then everybody is blaming it on Impact. When I break it down, they're all like, well, they don't get us to stay. The show sucked. Moose this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, so you don't want to watch the show. That's what's going to happen. You're never going to watch the show. I hate people capping. You're not going to watch Impact. Stop trying to act like if WWE says their name out loud, you're going to watch it. You're not going to watch the show. We see the ratings. 0 people watch that show, man. Support the show if you're going to. Don't act like, oh, there's all these stipulations. Why is there always stipulations on everything, bro? What is going on here? Come on, man.
So I'll say this, because I do watch Impact, but I will say this. I do think that there's 2 conversations to have. Like, if you're going to tell me that their partnership with Impact was underwhelming, we can have that. Like, that's fair. But to say that they did nothing to promote Impact is just not true. And also,
there's no partnership.
Right.
There wasn't.
To go even further and say just WWE mentioning the Knockouts title once on television is more. It's like, come on, man. Like, that's essentially what Omega did every week when he brought out the Knockouts title. I mean, not the Knockouts title, but the world title
championship.
Now he needs to win a Knockouts title so that he can do that. But still,
if you want to have the actual conversation about how AEW didn't bring in any women, fair conversation.
Yes, that's fair. Now, very fair.
Now,
very fair.
That said, like, I was a little bit, like, because, you know, Britt Baker talked about how she wanted the match with Deonna. Deonna talked about how she wanted the match with Britt, and how they had gone to their higher-ups. They both wanted to see it happen. I will say that with Deonna on the run she was on, and with Britt on the run she was on,
who's going to win?
I don't know who wins that. And I was like, maybe I would like to see an alliance between the two, but I'm like, I couldn't book my way out of that one. Like, you have Deonna lose, then all of a sudden you establish AEW's dominance. You have Britt lose. Like, Britt does not need to be losing to anybody else's champion when you are trying to establish that your champion is the champion. I would stay away from that altogether, booking champion versus champion in a situation where you have 2 champs that you want to look good.
If they did that, I wouldn't have booked Deonna versus Britt. I would have booked Deonna versus Shida, because that way Shida can lose that match, and the match is going to be better. Let's just be honest. The match is going to be better. So, yeah, I would have done that instead. They had options.
They had options. There were options, but as far as the champ versus champ scenario goes, and specifically Britt and Deonna, I wouldn't have done that. I don't see a scenario.
I think they would have booked themselves in the corner.
Yeah, not with him as champions. I think, with Deonna not having the belt now, wouldn't mind.
Too many egos. They that's what everybody forgets about is like there's egos also involved. It's not just a bunch of people working together. It's like a bunch of promoters having egos together. The wrestlers have egos together. Like it's so much going on.
Man.
It's not as cut and dry as like these two wrestlers are gonna wrestle and then that's it. No, it's like so many politics to get some shit to happen.
If I like were putting on a show where I was dealing with two major promoters who had their champs on and they had to face each other, because it ain't like Survivor Series where, hey, at the end of the day, it's still Vince McMahon's creative that's in charge, and he gets to pick either one of his champions, but they're both his champions. When you're dealing with two promoters, different champions, I would just say, look, y'all, it's coin toss. Yeah. And you guys are going to have to deal with the odds, and whoever wins here, whoever gets this coin toss, that's who wins.
But we have seen that Mr. Tony Khan does not back down. So
yes.
It'd be hard to back him down. Look, Triple A could barely back the homie down. So
yeah, I don't know how that would have been done, and I wouldn't have done it. But at the same time, this is but again, I don't know after tonight. Like, it ain't like they showed a graphic of Mickie James that she was holding the Knockouts title. Like they used an internal WWE graphic of Mickie James that they've had forever. I don't know. This doesn't feel like an Impact partnership to me. It feels like Pat McAfee name dropping Impact simply because
it's not a partnership. It just seems like,
and this is
especially since Mickey's not signed to Impact. So how do you have a partnership with somebody that the lady ain't signed with?
And this isn't the first time that they've been name dropped.
Right.
Bryan Danielson on Talking Smack dropped their names plenty of times when he was the host. When he was and like he did it casually too. It was like he was talking about AJ Styles and being a world-renowned performer, and he was like, and AJ Styles did all this, and he was an Impact, and blah 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 blah, and he just kept going on. And they've name dropped TNA. They've name dropped them before.
Yeah.
So like, and if Mickie James loses the belt tonight, then what? Then all of a sudden she
going back to the clap thing.
That little point thing she does.
Man, I just think people calm down, man. And it wasn't just the Impact tweets. It was stuff like people going like, "Aha! I knew she would be back. She did all of that." Like, look, guys, let's calm down. She still was treated poorly. That whole garbage bag thing was still bad. And this does not negate the fact that was bad. Even if they apologized and they came to a good professional relationship, and she was okay making a decision to come back, she made a decision for her. This doesn't change any of that. Right. And phrasing it like, oh, she came crawling back. She came back as champion with all the leverage. How is that crawling back? They needed her, not the other way around.
They needed her. That Rumble is
a fact.
That Rumble is so thin. I am like, honestly, I think, like I said, the Divas coming back is very cool. But it is unfortunate that we are still at a point where these women's Rumbles, because it's not like WWE has had a shortage of women's talent come through. When you had, when you look at what NXT was over the last couple of years, there was no shortage. At some point, you could have filled out the Raw and SmackDown rosters with talent. Now, like I said, I think by the time this is done, there's 13 right now. I'm pretty sure probably Doudrop ends up in it. Maybe Liv Morgan ends up in it. Alexa Bliss obviously ends up in it. And I bet this is where Asuka returns. So you may still end up with like 17 main roster people, but one of them is the world champion in Charlotte, who wasn't. Usually you don't need to have the champion in these Rumbles. And
that's how you know it's thin. They got the champ in there.
You got the champ in there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm not feeling
like they might have the other champ in there too. Like, it's crazy.
Like, I think the nostalgia returns are cool, but again, this is an indictment of the SmackDown women's roster, especially, and how because even 2 weeks ago you had Toni Storm, you don't have Toni Storm anymore,
and apparently Sasha Banks is out for 6 to 8 weeks. Everybody's telling us in the comments.
So that's bad.
Because I noticed in all the names that were listed, Sasha was not one of them. I don't think she's going to be one of them. And I mean, luckily it's a sprain and not anything way more serious. So that's
But
good.
has she only been in the first Rumble then?
Damn, she cannot catch a Royal Rumble break, can she? And she was always talking about being in these Rumbles.
Yeah, I think
she was in 2018,
the first Royal Rumble. Because she had the match with Ronda the 1 year, so she wasn't in
2019. She was. No, wait. You're right. Is that 2019? Yeah, 2019. Yeah. She had the match with Ronda. 2020, she had a match with Becky, didn't she? I think I'm recalling probably. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
no, I don't think she had a match.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, she didn't. No, because in 2020, that was against Asuka. It was Becky and Asuka.
Right. Like, I think she just wasn't in the match at all in 2020.
2020 Rumble. I'm like really struggling to recall, and that's rare for me. Royal Rumble 2020.
Oh no, he had to go to Google. What's happening?
I know, right?
Look at that.
What did
Googles.
Sasha do?
Sasha Banks. 2020, she was injured. A Banks fan says, and they always know.
Okay,
Sasha Banks
that's what it was.
Don't
then.
Fuck around.
Yeah.
But damn, Sasha, man, that sucks. We always wanted to see you win this fucking thing.
So she only had the first Rumble where she was the Iron Woman.
Yeah,
and that's kind of it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep, and now she's not in this one.
Damn.
It's sad. But yeah, excited for the names they did announce. I just, WWE fans need to relax. I just feel like every time they do something good, people start jumping on their company bandwagon and start, rah-rahing for the company that they don't work for. And it's like, I knew she'd be back. Like, guys, why are you rooting for the corporation to win? Like, what is that? Like,
she's a wrestler. You think she's not going to take a payday, a big giant Royal Rumble payday?
Yeah.
How much are y'all paying? I'll pull up.
She can do what she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry,
and that's just going to build her stock for when she's back on the Indies doing what she's been doing, taking on and having great matches with a bunch of women across the world. So,
hold up, sorry, I got a text from.
You got a super duper chat in cell phone.
It's always my super duper chats. There we go. To the person looking for a link. Let's see what else we got. What else? Sorry, looking for more super chats. All right, we got
super chats.
Yeah, love the super chats. Okay, we got a few. First off, Brian sent a follow-up humper chat. Said, my bad. I recalled wrong. Shout out to Phil and all of Grapsody. So,
what is this concerning?
Shame.
About Chicago.
Reggie's the Oakland guy.
Showtime.
I'm the Chicago guy.
Yeah, I'm Cali, baby. It's scary out in Chicago. People say that something about Oakland. That's hilarious, huh? We live rough, all right? Shit ain't
Brendan says Roxy would be awesome as a challenger, but I'm seeing as one of her home indie promotions gave her an emotional send-off. I'm guessing she's WWE bound.
Yeah, I would think they're gonna throw the bag at her. She's so young and she's so good. Like she'll definitely. They're gonna try to get her.
Sogri says, thank you again for a perspective I didn't know I needed. This should be mandatory listening for people wanting to learn and grow. Thank you. Mad King 1984 says, much love to your podcast, guys. Am I the only one that thinks New Jack is the best promo of all time? There's a
he's up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's an argument to be made for that.
Yeah, he's up there.
It's an argument. I don't know if I agree.
Of all time, I don't know.
Basil Banks says SmackDown's women's.
Yeah, we haven't been talking about Bayley too. She's out there
suffering right now.
Knows what. Yeah. I mean, but those injuries,
definitely
like
could use
knee
Bayley
injuries and stuff, are just.
I mean, injuries. Yeah, there's a lot of injuries. Just this week, there were a lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. Orlando says Mickey wouldn't have to return just to be a legend unless. If she told WWE what she wanted. Also, they haven't announced all the women for the Rumble, and it's more about the women's side not announcing Impact.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, so I don't know. I don't know what Mickey's going to come back as, and yeah, she ultimately I think would have the say more than anybody else.
Right. But also,
now,
will she? Fucking WWE, they don't care about nothing.
And let's see. Ryan says, lots to talk about WWE or AEW women right now. A possible hot take. I want Riho to win tonight and transition the belt to Hater. Jamie Britt would be a hot feud.
I could see that happening, but I don't think it will.
I would have no problem with Rio winning tonight, but Britt's winning this match, guys.
Britt's winning.
She's winning.
Yeah. Tony
I think
said
Thunder Rosa is still looming down there for Britt.
Women's Rumble this year, Tessa Blanchard. Nope. Not happening, y'all. It's not.
Nope.
Perry
years, bro.
says more women from Impact for surprises. Now, if others showed up, then I could say there's a relationship happening. But I really think it's just free agent Mickie James. I don't think WWE is has any desire to work with any other companies. I think it was a case of they are working with Mickie James, who is calling her own shots and gets to call her own shots wherever she wants. And that's really cool. Mickie James is NWA. She is Impact. And now she gets to work in WWE and has no contract any place other than a working agreement to be there. That's so cool. Ferdhausen says, any fan that hears or thinks WWE and AEW's women's division weak, go watch Impact women's division. They've been great this year.
They've been great for like 20 years.
They have been great. I think the thing with bringing Mickie back is because Mickie is already established with WWE's fan base.
Right.
It would be tough to just throw an Impact woman in that is not already established with that fan base.
Right.
So it's like, who from Impact at this moment would you bring in other than Mickie? Like, you could bring in Deanna, but I don't feel like it would have the same energy behind it as Mickie coming back.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And Orlando brought up, he said, Sasha's only been in the 2018 Rumble, had title matches 2019 and 2021, missed 2020 Rumble due to injury.
January, just not good. Or good, because she was in title matches also, so shout out to her.
And then Eric Brady said, with all the openings in the Women's Rumble, do you think Deonna Purrazzo will finally get a spot this year? That, of course, is an old RBR gag. No. And anyway, we that is one that will probably never get left behind either. So the Battle of the Belts is tonight.
My man, we talked a lot about whatever that last topic was.
Yeah, Battle of the Belts tonight. And actually, there's a lot of wrestling happening tonight, right?
Yeah. Because Belts, Impact has a show.
Impact Hard to Kill. Yeah. So I'm actually going to officially change this to being Wrestling Tonight because we have the Battle of the Belts and we've got Impact Hard to Kill. So the funny thing about the Battle of the Belts is it hit me why Sammy Guevara lost the belt. And I realized midway through the week, this week, that it's because Battle of the Belts needed a title change to establish itself as a show.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And because usually these major shows, whenever you have a first one, you need at least one moment. And I think the moment was always supposed to be Sammy winning the belt back. I think that was exactly why he lost. Because it's like Cody can afford a little 3-week detour with the belt. He's not hurt by having a short reign, and Sammy can get his victory back. I think that's what was supposed to happen.
Bummer.
And I think it was to put Battle of the Belts on the map as a show. And then, of course, Cody's got COVID. So now that hasn't been confirmed. It said the reason AEW gave was medical protocols. Mm-hmm. And Cody, of course, sent out a text to everybody that said, what was it? It was the...
Make sure you're vaccinated.
Yeah, make sure you're vaccinated. He also Instagram that he put an Instagram story saying, please get vaccinated. Children, babies can catch this thing and they don't deserve that BS. So clearly he feels a certain way about that. And I heard this week's Dynamite was the first Dynamite ever to not have any of the EVPs there at all. that it
Because
was
Matt Jackson and
Matt
Brandon Cutler got it too.
Yeah, Matt Jackson and Brandon Cutler got it. So Nick stayed home as a precaution because he was around those two. And then Kenny is still on leave. And Cody wasn't there due to getting COVID. And so for the first time, no EVPs at Dynamite this week. And that's kind of crazy. The first show on TBS not only didn't have legendary director Keith Mitchell doing the show, but also didn't have any of the EVPs.
Shout out to Keith Mitchell, great run, man, amazing. We've watched some of his amazing work forever.
I know.
So.
I was talking with my friend Colin about this on how talking about wrestling I've watched my whole life on TV: WWE, WCW, NWA, Impact. For the majority of the time I've watched wrestling on TV, it's only been produced by two people. Keith Mitchell and Kevin Dunn. Right. It's been Kevin Dunn on one side, Keith Mitchell on the other. Keith Mitchell, of course, came from WCCW, and then he was in NWA, WCW, eventually went to TNA and AEW. But pretty much you've been watching either Kevin Dunn produced shows or Keith Mitchell produced shows, and now, or Tim Walbert, who I believe is the producer now in AEW.
Yo, shout out to Keith Mitchell for having a long run without interacting with them boys over there.
Yeah. Tim Walbert, though. Tim Walbert was on WWE for a long time. He worked under Kevin Dunn. He was the producer of SmackDown. And he was, when people watched the CM Punk return video, and the person calling the shots, that was Tim Walbert. He's been,
that video is awesome.
It's a very awesome video.
Great video.
But if you didn't know who that was Tim Walbert. And he used to produce SmackDown for a long time, I know. And he left WWE, I think, like late 2000s. And now he works in AEW. And I believe he took over for Keith Mitchell, but I can't confirm that. But anyway, yeah. So we have a title match in place. We have the interim title match. It is Sammy Guevara taking on Dustin, and there will be an interim TNT champion. So Sammy Guevara or the winner of this match, I should say, will get the belt until Cody returns.
And they didn't have any other options, right? Lucha Bros are hurt. They couldn't have Hangman Page wrestle. Like they had to do this.
They had to do a match. Weird. Now the fact that it's Dustin, that's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Now,
the way that they were trying to sell it last night, they were like, "Oh, he lost." Blah, blah. Like, no, I'm not hearing it, bro. That's Cody's brother. That's why he's in the match.
Yeah. No,
just say it.
I like the idea of doing the interim champion. I think that because that goes hand in hand with like real fight sports, right? In real fight sports situations, if the champion is not able to defend on a night that they were scheduled to have the match, the challenger still gets the championship match and can be the interim champion until we have a champion decided. Right. Until we're able to have the match that was originally scheduled. I actually think it's a cool idea. And if WWE hadn't been like too scared to not have Reigns as Universal Champion, that actually would have been a cool thing.
They should have did an interim belt.
Yeah, that would have been cool for the Brock situation. But yeah, I'd like the idea of doing the interim champion. I think they should. Now, I also think that Sammy's winning and is getting the moment that he was supposed to still get at Battle of the Belts. I think it was always supposed to be Sammy wins, gets his belt back, and they're still going to do a crowning moment, because you have to look at it like if you were going to do Battle of the Belts and the night being Battle of the Belts was always going to have a title change, now you have to look up, if Cody can't lose the belt tonight, what other change could you do? Mm-hmm. Like, I suppose, like our super chatter said, could have Riho win, but at the same time, like, Britt's reign kind of isn't done. You could, I mean, there's nobody for Jurassic Express to defend against right now.
Right.
That's, like, established. So I think the number one contenders are the Acclaimed. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't necessarily want to throw that shot away just yet.
Yeah, and it's like the Jurassic Express just won the belts.
They just won them.
So yeah, it's
hard. So like
they pretty much had to do. I mean, they could have probably picked somebody different than
Dustin.
than Dustin, though.
Yeah.
They could have put Ethan
Dustin's an
Page
odd
in
choice.
there, or Ethan or Scorpio, and some kind of progression of what they got going on. But
The only thing I can think of with Dustin, and a part of having him in there, is it adds more fuel to the Lambert and Men of the Year stuff, so they can
Right.
use that against him.
yeah,
But other than that, I don't really get that choice.
Next story. Mr. E is
mystery,
no
for sure.
longer the WWE champion. Man, I was so excited for that run. I was so excited for that win. I was so excited for everything about Big E becoming the WWE champion. And I feel like everything outside of television, I tweeted this, and I think it ended up being like, numbers wise, like my best tweet of all time. I think, or like my third best. But anyway, Big E won the WWE title. And man, that dude was everywhere you would want to see a champion. He was on the Breakfast Club. He was introducing college football games. He was introducing boxing matches. Big E was mainstream places. I just wish that it translated on television because
Didn't translate at all.
no, even places where, even little places, right? Like Big E had the match, so he won the title with the Money in the Bank cash-in. I always have a problem with baby faces doing that because I feel like that sets them up with a handicap, because right off the bat, the reign is already established as a, did they really win? And no babyface should have a question mark on their title victory, or an asterisk. I feel like fans should not be in a place to question whether or not they did it legit.
Right.
So that's my first problem with Big E's reign. So the way you fix that is you have him win decisively as much as you can after that. And the very next week, he has the 6-man tag match. Was that the first established match? Yeah. So they did the 6-man tag match, the New Day versus the Bloodline. Bloodline wins. So already we're like, okay, we're just going to keep this handicap here, right? But then later in the night, they announced a triple threat match. Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, and the WWE Champion Big E. Hey, this is great because I know you're afraid of having Roman lose, but at least you have a non-champion in this match, and the champion that Big E beat for the title to I love Reg's face right now. You have a non-champion in the match, and it's the previous champion that Big E beat. It's a 2-for-1 right here. You have Big E win this match. Big E has a victory on paper over Roman Reigns, and he got to pin the champion that he beat before. Layup. Roman Reigns wins that match.
So before that, wasn't he on a pay-per-view and he ended up on either in the opening match, or they were in
It was the opening match. Yeah.
It was the opening match. That's right. Wasn't it like a 6-man or something?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
They competed. Yes.
And that was like his first pay-per-view match as champion.
This continues, right? So, and then you did little things like, so again, Survivor Series. Big E takes on Roman Reigns. We know Roman's the guy, but Big E really needs the establishment here. There are a lot of things you could have done here, but you went the way we knew you were going to go. Big E loses. But the next night, we do a make good on that because Big E does get his clean victory over Austin Theory. Now I have to back up a second.
Oh my God, dude. Come on,
so,
man.
Big E also does have a match with it was a one-on-one match with Bobby Lashley, WWE Championship. And he did beat him in a steel cage. Mm-hmm. They started the night out with the match that ended in the DQ with the Hurt Business interference, and then it led to a steel cage match later in the night. Big E did get his victory. We got one. And then, like I said, after that, he beat Austin Theory. I feel like that was it, because after that, Big E has a match with Kevin Owens. Again, steel cage. I'm not going to count that as a victory because of the fact that you had him win via escape. There is no scenario where babyface should be winning via escape, especially after somebody that he had beat. That match was great, but that ending made me so mad. He hit the big ending off the top rope. Kevin Owens is 2 feet away from him. The door to the cage is like 10 feet away. He hits that big ending and crawls toward the door. And then wins via escape. And I just thought, there's no scenario where a babyface who needs victories should be winning via escape. And I feel like that, to me, hurt the match so much. And then he loses to Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, who had just competed in 2 other matches in the night. And then we get to the pay-per-view.
What did he do to deserve this?
Now, I know
Besides
WWE.
work hard for your stupid fucking company for 14 years.
I know WWE is thinking here. I know exactly what they were thinking. So last week, it's announced Roman Reigns has tested positive for COVID. He will not be able to compete. And WWE's line of thinking on this night was, this show needed to end with either Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, because we do not view any of those 4 guys in that Raw title match as the stars of the company to establish the first night of this pay-per-view. This night had to end with Roman Reigns, or this night had to end with Brock Lesnar, but it ain't ending with one of these guys. And I felt like the disrespect in this match was just pouring in. To start, we had the entrances. There is no scenario where a 5-man match should take place and the champion enters 4th. So you already told us right off the bat, Brock Lesnar is the biggest guy.
Yeah.
You tell us straight away that Brock is a bigger star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
they were telling us all night that Brock was the biggest star. The whole show.
And look, it's not like this isn't a thing we don't know. But on paper, a WWE champion should not be seen as lesser than anybody until he loses the title. Right. I would say there was no harm in having Brock's entrance be, hell, he's a star. Have it be first.
Yep.
You did not have to have him come out after the champ. And the way he did felt disrespectful. And then on top of that, Brock won. And in short form. Now, I will say it was a fun match. I don't think it was like I saw people going, man, this should be match of the year. And I thought it was 9 minutes long. And it was just move after move after move after move after move. And I feel like I've seen
that should be match of the year.
I've seen that from people. And I thought, no, it was good, but it's because it was so fast paced. But then it just ended with Brock pinning Big E after an F5. That was it. 1, 2, 3. And then to really hammer it home, Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar have the stare down after the match. And that, I felt, to me, that was to establish we're already moving on. Big E is done here. We are focused on this scenario, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. And you know what? I've been wanting to see Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley for years.
Yeah.
And I'm already seeing it in a scenario where Bobby Lashley is the afterthought, where like if we were going to see this match, I want to see it in a scenario where I could believe Bobby's going to win. And right now I feel like
he's losing.
They're already looking past it. They're already like, ultimately, how does Brock Roman happen? Like, we're already looking past Bobby Lashley, and if that match is short, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be fucking pissed. You have never seen me like rage on shit. If that match is a short match that sees Brock beat Bobby Lashley, somebody who was brought in as Brock's equivalent. The whole idea behind Bobby Lashley was we lost Brock Lesnar, and so let's give Bobby Lashley everything.
They called him Black Brock Lesnar. Let's just keep it real. That's what he was at. When he first debuted, it was Black.
They gave him Brock's pyro. They gave him everything. You know, he's had the MMA career. There's so many ways you can tell these two guys as parallels. And if you have that match not go if you have that match be short, I would be pissed. And my gut tells me it's going to be. But anyway, Mickey's not champ no more. And now the story is out there that he was apparently going to lose anyway. That he was supposed to lose to Seth Rollins. Which, I will say, based on the story, actually made sense. To me, I in hindsight, I'm like, okay, the story they were telling was that Seth Rollins was the number one contender. He won that ladder match. He beat all these guys. And then, but then Kevin Owens got added to his match. And then Bobby Lashley got added to his match. And Seth Rollins kept getting his shot kind of screwed just a little bit more. And like in hindsight, I'm like, okay, the story would have made sense that with all those things that kind of screwed Seth Rollins, he ultimately would have ended up winning the title.
Yeah. The crazy thing about that match is I felt like as bad as I felt for Big E, I kind of felt as bad in some ways for Rollins because Rollins was the one that won a number one contenders match. And they just kept adding people to the match on and on until they added a guy the day of, and the guy they added the day of ended up winning.
Yeah, like I thought that was the story they were going for, was that you keep adding to Seth's match, and but ultimately, like, here's how I would have told that story if I think this is what they were going for. That you kept adding people to Seth's match, but then have Seth pin like Kevin Owens, right? So like ultimately it was you kept adding to my match, but that ended up screwing you because now I won the title without having to pin the champion. And
and then E has something to hold on to.
Yeah, and he has something to hold on to. Like, that's the story I would have told with Seth Rollins. And maybe that was the story they were going for until they were like, whoa, Brock. And it's like, drop everything. We got Brock Lesnar.
And just walked into the writing room. Wait a minute, I got it, guys. Brock.
Yeah. But I feel like that took a gigantic, smelly, dumpy shit on everything that Raw had been doing the last month, because all of a sudden now
they don't care.
Brock Lesnar walks in, and no matter what we had going for Raw, Brock Lesnar's better than any of it.
Yeah, listen, I hate this, and I'll tell you exactly why I hate this. I have made it no secret that I don't care about Brock Lesnar as champion. I just think that he's an uninteresting champion, and he has been for a long time. Now, that's just my personal opinion. That's, of course, subjective. But I think you run into a problem when you tell your audience, basically, that Brock Lesnar is a priority and nobody else is. And I feel like that's why him as champion has been so uninteresting. If you tell everybody that the second Brock comes into the picture, here's our champion, nobody can beat this guy, then it's like, why do I care about anybody else that you could possibly build up around him? Right. And that's been going on all the way back since SummerSlam. When you brought Brock back, you made Finn Balor look like a joke so you can insert Cena into the title picture immediately. And then once you got done with that, it was like, okay, here's Brock. And all right. So you make him into an afterthought. All right. You have Sami Zayn win an entire battle royal. Oh, well, we still got Brock. So, all right. Well, Sami Zayn doesn't matter. All right. So now you get to this point where you have Big E in a title match in a storyline that has nothing to do with Brock. Brock is on a totally different brand. Yes, he's a free agent before somebody sends us that message. I know. But he was not doing anything on Raw for weeks. And then you just throw him in this match and he just wins. It's like, okay, so why do I care about the other people in this match then if you tell us the second that Brock is in the picture, he'll be champion? It just doesn't make sense.
I have nothing to say.
You know what's funny is I've been waiting. I was like, Reg had this look on his face of like,
I got nothing to say.
I thought it was gonna be something, and his something is I got nothing.
So, but yeah, so even past the Brock stuff, even if we just get back into what's wrong with what they did with Big E losing isn't bad on the surface. But I think what makes it bad is the fact that it's to Brock in the way that they did it. Because, like I said, you made it seem like, well, Brock will always be our priority no matter what anybody else does. And so there's a world where Rollins could have won this match, and you can still book a story and you can still, bring Big E back from this. But the way this looks, it makes it look like the same as what we did with Becky, where the second Becky's back, all right, well, we're done with Bianca because the real star's here. And that's just how it feels. I know people are going to
do this to us
make
forever.
The excuse that, Brock is a bigger draw. He is. But how do you figure out who can draw when you
not giving Big E any big
pay-per-view feuds? You haven't let a main event a single pay-per-view yet.
Right.
How do you know if he can draw or not? You haven't given a chance to.
Premium live event.
Look, you keep telling us that you don't care about anybody but Brock Lesnar. I believe you now. That's pretty much it.
I mean, if you tell
Brock
people
Lesnar going to be there,
about...
it's his champ. He's the champ. Well, I believe you. You're going to every time he's going to come in, win the belt whenever the fuck he wants, take it home for 3 months and not see it on TV, and then come back and do it all over again. If you keep telling us that's what the world is about, I believe you now.
I mean, I could see them maybe doing some wacky belt shenanigans of like
Roman winning that fucking belt too. Yeah, is that a wacky belt?
or
Dude, if they do a winner take all match, throw it away.
I could either see a winner take all, or I could see okay, this is a wacky scenario. So just hear me out. Like, if the plan was always to get to Big E versus Seth Rollins, I could see some kind of big old wacky shenanigans where Big E wins the Royal Rumble, right? Oh my God. All of a sudden, he's number one contender. To who? And then Seth Rollins beats Roman, thereby taking the Universal title back to Raw. And then you do Roman versus Brock for the WWE title for SmackDown. And then, because what they trade those belts like every 3 years anyway, and it's been about 3 years. And then, so Roman, Brock, WWE title, Seth and Big E, Universal title.
Trash. Look.
No, and I mean, look,
Big E is not winning the Royal Rumble. I see a lot of people saying in his comments, no, it's not happening. You see what they did to him?
He could win the Rumble. They could salvage this. I think that there's a very good chance that Big E could end up winning the title again within the next year. Because the difference between him and Lashley or any other black champion that's existed for the last, 3 years is that he has done those things that Will mentioned earlier. He has been super active outside the company. He has proven that he has, mainstream crossover appeal. So there are reasons to put the title back on him. But you've just got to get out of this tunnel vision every time Brock gets back, where it's like, oh, well, Brock's here. Well, we don't have to do anything with those guys over there. Get out of here.
All of our plans that we had before, throw them all out the window. Brock is here.
Yeah, it's just they've got to get out of booking everything around Brock and Roman, because that's a huge problem right now.
Let's read some super chats and get to the last story. Let's see. Brendan says, money for AEW's women's division is in the Britt Rosa feud. Also, Phillips' avoidance of the pun regarding what women would make an impact at the Rumble was masterful. And Myron says, do you guys think that AEW is overexposed? It seems like they have a show on YouTube or TV just about every day in the week. I think what AEW is going for, and I think has mostly been successful with, because you really didn't have this with Impact, even at their most prominent, is establishing their own ecosystem. Yeah. Because WWE has an ecosystem, right? And WWE has if you only watch WWE programming, you're still watching Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT, NXT UK, main event, if that's what you're into.
They're still giving up like 8 shows in a week. Almost.
Yeah, right. Like, they have their own ecosystem. And I feel like AEW wants to establish their own ecosystem, because when you have your own ecosystem established, then you're not necessarily relying on the other brands. Impact kind of always relied on WWE's existence. That at the same time, Impact was they were always the bigger brother. I feel like there were fans out there, like shout out Garrett Kidney, but I feel like for the most part, Impact was not a whole lot of people's primary brand. But I feel like AEW has tried to establish its own ecosystem. It's like, if you really just watch AEW programming and all AEW programming and nothing else in wrestling, you're still watching AEW Dynamite, you're watching Rampage, you've got Elevation, you've got Dark, and then you've got these occasional specials. I'm not sure if it's so much overexposing as much as it's just trying to establish a system in which it's just, where you can just get by on AEW programming and nothing else in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think it's overexposure, because everybody doesn't watch every show. You know what I mean? So, like, 2 shows that they have in the week, AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, just kind of exists there to get over talent, do these things, and do all these. And I don't think it's overexposed, because you have to go and look for them, pretty much. So, there's a difference.
Monique says, hear me out, guys. Cody is TNT champ. Brandy wins the TBS championship from Jay, and they become the network couple.
We've already been established. Brandy 2 belts. Brandy 2 belts is going to happen. She's going to soon defeat Britt Baker, and then she's going to burning hammer Jade Cargill through a flaming table and win the TBS championship. And we'll all rejoice.
I will say
they're the flaming table family now.
I will say Brendan is onto something here. He says Dustin winning in a surprise leading to Cody Dustin 2 would be fire too. That actually would be kind of cool if Dustin suddenly won. Ferdhausen says only ones with worse title reigns than Big E, those who surrender the title after winning. Not the way it should have gone. Just let him win and make the crowd laugh and happy. Yeah, it wasn't a good first run. I'm not saying he's done. I don't think he is done. But I am saying that, man, that sucked. That's all.
I mean, really, most people's first title reign as WWE champion isn't the memorable one. Usually it's the second one. Like, even if you look at like AJ Styles, like the second one is the one that people remember because it was like the year-long reign. And I mean, there's
first one I had the Cena match though.
What about that Kofi second one? Oh.
I mean, that's of course the elephant in the room is that a lot of black champions don't get a second run.
Yes. Josh says if they need a title change, they should have Dante take the FTW title from Ricky and heat that feud.
That's where they're leading to. They're just slow walking the dog to get there.
Yeah, because Dante's got the match with Powerhouse Hobbs this week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Phantom says Brock was bigger than Big E on the match graphic.
They told us. They've been telling us since he came back in 2012 that this show is about Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm. Daniel says, annoyed with AEW rematches. Deeb Sheeta for the fourth time.
Oh, Phil's about to
annoyed?
See?
Why though?
See, I knew it was coming.
I mean, here's the thing. I think this one's heading where
Phil's about to beef.
Where we had talked about months ago. I think it's leading to an Iron Man match.
I could see this being a best of 5.
Yeah, sure. I think Deeb wins this next one, and then finally they settle it once and for all. Iron Woman match
at the March pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I think that's where that's heading.
And they've all been bangers. How could you be mad at this?
I can't understand being mad at it because they don't give us many long-running women's feuds, and so when they finally give us one, then people are like, "It's too many matches." I don't understand that criticism.
Let's see. WrestleVoice
we don't know
says,
what we want. We're wrestling fans.
Not only E entering the match fourth, but the graphic after Roman announced being out showed Brock in the front and middle. Sorry, but there was just too much disrespect. And he also said the WWE and its writing team did Big E no favors by having him take pins. They did not allow Big E the same respect they did for Reigns. I will also bet you that Brock will not take any pins. No. They could have had made E look stronger. And I agree with that. And finally, look, Jade Cargill is the TBS champion. It's number one.
Jade, what's up? Jade Cargill did it.
She did it.
She did it.
And look, we just did a whole show where a whole lot of people talked about Divas Era stuff. It talked up Divas Era stuff. Don't talk to me about people being green. And like,
I'm excited about Summer Rae coming back, but also, wait, these things aren't adding up, big bros.
Yeah, when's Natalie's match starting?
Right.
Like, don't talk to me. Like, I want to hear in the same breath, Jade Cargill's too green, but also I would love to see Alicia Fox come back. Now, I'm not a huge
all in our mentions,
mainly because
man.
I'm not a huge not a huge believer in like harping on people's wrestling ability anyway, because there's so much more to it. In that there's presence, there's a lot of things. Like, yes, do I think Jade will get better? I absolutely do think so. And dude, I think that there was some mistime stuff in that match with Ruby Soho. Oh yeah. Like, I'm not starring that match, but at the same time, to say that somebody that should dictate whether or not somebody should get a championship, I'm not a believer in that either. I believe that
Breaker, run back what we just said about Braun Breaker apply to Jade Cargill.
I believe that a championship run to me is about the story you're trying to tell. Right. And if the story you're trying to tell is Jade Cargill is the fastest rising star, that's the story you got to tell there. I'm not concerned about much of anything other than the story being told. And it also, support Black women. That's what I do. And so
Just
Jade
do it.
Cargill.
Stop being haters, you fucking haters.
Yeah, I think that there is a supreme amount of irony in the fact that people spent last week being upset about Swole and some of the things that Swole said, and of course the response to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Same thing.
they tried to spend Wednesday night harping on whether or not Jade was good enough.
Yeah.
Like,
Who's good?
what's
Who the fuck are you? You're a random nerd on the internet. Who's ready? You don't fucking know what's ready. You've never been in a fucking ring. All you know is what you see on TV and what's presented to you. How are you excited on Tuesday night when Braun Breaker, who has only had 13 matches himself, won the NXT championship? What's the big difference?
No,
He's a
that's
white
it.
man. Come on,
That's
like, what the fuck's going on here?
That's it. That match with Ciampa was great. Both
Yeah,
matches with
but
Ciampa
I
was
mean,
great.
fucking like everybody's not gonna do everything. Every single wrestling match isn't gonna be clean. Every single spot isn't gonna hit. There's differences here. Some people are gonna flip. Some people are gonna punch. Some people are gonna hit with light tubes. Some people are gonna fucking grapple. Some people are gonna do. There's all kind of things to do. There can't just be one single way that these people work. And if they're champions, there have to be this kind of champion that I know for the entire existence of me watching pro wrestling. There has to be a difference. There has to be different characters, different things. And Jade Cargill's money. Fucking, if they made Hook champion, TNT champion next week, people would be like, "Damn, Hook's fucking badass. He's the champion." That's how you got to do it. Just tell the story, bro.
And I will say this: there were some things I did like in that match.
I know Braun and Jade aren't comparable because y'all can't compare white dudes and black women. So
I will say there were a couple of things I did like in that match, which was one. You could see they were going to attempt to do Jaded off of the top rope, and you could see the hesitation and the decision not to. And because they didn't, it actually still turned out clean as hell. I thought that when they jumped off, I'm like, oh, where's this going? And then I felt like Ruby took it perfectly.
And you want to talk about green? That's opposite of what somebody green would do. The green person would have been like, "We're going to the top. Let's do it," and go for it. The green person. A green person thought to not murder this person.
Shout out to Adam Cole, by the way, in realizing what was wrong with Jake Atlas's knee and like attempting. He was about to do the Panama Sunrise when he saw, nope, he ain't getting over.
Like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna happen.
This ain't gonna happen. Finish the match,
right.
And we're done here. And that was that.
A couple more. Jake Atlas.
Yeah.
The thing I will say
shout
about
out
the match.
To Ray Phoenix too, by the way.
Oh, shout out to Ray Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ooh, my stomach.
Yes. Now, we have we've got a couple more super chats, and then we're out of here.
Yep, got a wrap there at 1 p.m.
Yep. We got William Tucker says, "Do they need to turn Jade after her win? Considering Deeb Diamante are there? No. I think that was a big part. Yeah, I don't think they need to turn her. I think she needs to be that mountain to climb." Ferdhausen says, "Was on the fence with Jade till she walked out with Shaq. She looked like a diamond shining in that match." That's the thing, is her title win was kind of the cap off to her year that she started in the Shaq feud and then ended here. I think that was just kind of, I don't know how that wasn't seen. And yeah, that's it. Hey guys,
and she's fine, bro. Okay.
Man,
leave with that. Have you seen Jade Cargill? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
When the guy said, "Oh, she hasn't worked out since she got to AEW," what have you seen? Do you have eyes? You have to be a blind person.
If she's not working out, there is no hope for the rest of us. Like,
no, we're done.
None.
We're done.
Absolutely none. When I saw the Jade look soft, I thought, all right, now we're just fucking trolling.
We're just saying stuff.
We're just saying
shit because there's no way. Are you kidding me?
No.
Brendan says, "Great show, guys. Thanks." Tom says, "Though I wasn't all in on Jade, the match was fine, but everything after the match, especially that pic with her daughter on the ramp, was money. I think they cut away a little too soon. I would have done some pyro or some shit, but other than that, I think the win was cool. The belt looks great. The belt looks great on her. She looks like a champ. And again, you've added stakes now to beating Jade Cargill. It's not just beating the undefeated Jade Cargill. It is now you get a prize with beating the undefeated Jade Cargill. Somebody's going to do it. Nobody is undefeated.
Right.
Somebody's eventually going to do it. And now, again, there's a story to tell there. I don't know who it is. But what I do know is that this has been Grapsody, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on your Saturday afternoon.
We'll end on this note. I'll put my cowboy hat back on and let you guys have a nice little finish.
Yeah.
Cowboy shit, baby.
Cowboy shit, baby. Come back next week at our normal time. Next week, Phil and I are headed off to Atlanta for Terminus.
Are we having a show next week? Have we talked about this?
Yeah. But you see the way I'm like rushing out right now? Next week, I have no choice. Next week I got to hop on a motherfucking plane. And so if this show cuts off abruptly, folks, next week, I'm telling you why right now. It's because I'm hopping on a plane to Atlanta immediately after the show. So for Philip Lindsey, for Righteous Branch, I'm Lamar Washington. We will see you next time and have a great day. Peace.